Have you ever found yourself staring at a blinking router at 3 in the morning, frantically refreshing a web page and just feeling your soul slowly leave your body? Well, in this explainer, we're taking a deeply serious, completely academic approach to this profound modern tragedy. We're going to explore the absolute philosophical implications of an internet outage. We're talking a masterful synthesis of the loftiest ideas in human history crashed right into our most agonizing everyday technological frustrations. So, what would the greatest thinkers of all time actually have to say about why your Wi-Fi is down? Let's get into it. Okay, to kick things off, let's look at this brilliant twist on Descartes. I think, therefore I am, still fucking buffering. This hilarious juxtaposition really hits the nail on the head for our explainer today. We're mapping the great philosophical traditions directly onto that sheer existential horror of seeing no internet secured pop up in your laptop settings. Because when you really think about it, those ancient, heady questions about reality, truth, and human suffering, they are the exact same questions we're asking every single time we stare at that spinning wheel of death. We are going to break this entire experience down into 4 distinct stages of digital grief, starting with Phase 1, denial and illusion. So let's head all the way back to ancient Greece to examine our incredibly fragile perception of connectivity. We have to ask a fundamental Socratic question here. Was the Wi-Fi ever truly up? Seriously, if we apply the Socratic method to your basic tech support, we have to start questioning all of our core assumptions. I mean, the Wi-Fi signal is invisible, right? It's intangible, it has no physical body. So how can you be absolutely certain it's currently down? Has it descended from the sky? No. Socrates would probably argue that our entire perception of a working internet is just this comforting illusion we blindly cling to. Maybe true connection can only be found through endless dialectical inquiry. And this right here perfectly captures the pure, unadulterated despair of the modern user. We've got Glaucon, who is essentially representing all of us in this scenario, just pleading, I just want to send a text message. The poor guy is trapped in Socrates' endless, completely unhelpful questioning about the ontological status of network connectivity. He doesn't want profound wisdom about whether his digital persona is just a shadow on a cave wall. He just wants to complain to his friends that his internet is busted. Which brings us perfectly to Plato's allegory of the loading screen. Think of it like this. On one side, we have the world of forms. This is the theoretical, perfect network. It's made of pure light, it has absolutely zero latency, and it never, ever drops. Then, on the other side, we have the world of appearances. This is our corrupted, fallen reality, featuring your cheap plastic router, that agonizing 3% packet loss, and abysmal 3 megabit per second speeds. Plato is basically telling us that what we call Wi-Fi is really just a pale, frustrating shadow of the true perfect network. We can imagine it, sure, but we can never actually reach it in this material world. Moving right along to Phase 2, anger and bargaining. Now that we've moved past the illusions, we're in the phase where we desperately try to diagnose the mechanical causes of our suffering. And Aristotle's structural framework is absolutely perfect for this. He believed everything in existence has 4 causes, so let's apply that directly to network failure. First, the material cause, the physical stuff. Maybe a squirrel went to town on your fiber optic cables. Second, the formal cause, the architecture. We're talking TCP/IP protocols or your DNS servers totally misconfiguring. Third, the efficient cause, which is human agency. In this case, your ISP cruelly throttling your bandwidth. And finally, the final cause. A router's telos, or its essential purpose in the universe, is to facilitate connection. So when it's down, its very reason for existence is just utterly shattered. But listen, if Aristotelian logic doesn't magically get you back online, Diogenes the Cynic offers a much more extreme nihilistic solution. Throw your router out the window and go live in a dumpster. Honestly, he makes a point. He'd argue that your Wi-Fi isn't a necessity at all. It is a glowing cage that you have built for yourself. The only reason you panic when it drops is because you're a literal slave to connectivity. To Diogenes, the only way to achieve true freedom is to absolutely reject the entire digital system. Because, hey, you can't have packet loss if you don't even own a router. All right, welcome to Phase 3, depression and doubt. We are officially leaving the ancient world and entering the Enlightenment to examine Descartes' timeline of passions during a Wi-Fi outage. Though, instead of the age of reason, we're really finding the age of existential dread here. Let's trace this descent into the void. Minute 1, mere confusion. That's odd, the page won't load. But by minute 12, that has escalated into pure unbridled rage. I am going to literally burn this router to the ground. Then, the void. Minutes 15 through 45 are spent entirely in the purgatory of customer service, just listening to a smooth jazz rendition of hold music. Finally, around minute 47, we hit numbness and acceptance. You are a husk. You just live on hold now. And this brutal timeline perfectly illustrates where Descartes' radical method of doubt ultimately leads us. He strips away every single assumption. He doubts his senses, he doubts his reality, he even entertains the idea that an evil demon, perhaps one named Comcast, is actively deceiving him about his network speeds. After all that, he is left with just one pathetic certainty. I ping, therefore I am. We're no longer rational beings, guys. We are merely thinking things that desperately need a Wi-Fi connection just to feel like we actually exist. Which brings us to the final stage. Phase 4, acceptance and duty. Having somehow survived the grief, the blind rage, and the deep existential dread, we arrive here. Spinoza defines your router as a finite mode of God's infinite attribute of extension that will eventually decay. Now, what does this actually mean for us? Well, Spinoza's deterministic view of the universe tells us that existence is just this endless, unbroken chain of cause and effect. That means your Wi-Fi outage tonight was literally inevitable since the moment of the Big Bang. It's just physics. Electrons failing to flow, packets failing to route. It is not some cosmic injustice directed at you personally. And honestly, if you really think about it, that's oddly comforting. Because it's inevitable, Spinoza teaches us to practice amor de intellectualis. Basically, we should love the universe exactly as it is. And yes, that includes packet loss. We have to accept the outage with total equanimity. You are just a tiny, fleeting fluctuation in the infinite substance of the cosmos. The universe literally does not care that your video call is buffering, so why on earth should you let it destroy your inner peace? Accept the disconnected router with the exact same calm that you accept the sun rising in the east. But wait, acceptance doesn't mean we just sit there in the dark and do nothing, right? To perform our troubleshooting duties, we have to turn to Kant's categorical reset, which he views as an a priori synthetic truth. It goes like this. Step 1, unplug. Step 2, wait exactly 10 seconds. Step 3, replug. To Kant, waiting that 10 seconds isn't just some arbitrary tech tip you found on Reddit. No, it is a rigid, militaristic moral duty. Waiting only 9 seconds? That would introduce arbitrariness and completely collapse the fabric of rational troubleshooting. You don't restart the router just because you want your Wi-Fi back. You do it because it is the universally correct action for a rational being to take. So, we have covered a ton of philosophical ground in this explainer today, from Plato's cave all the way to Kant's categorical imperative. And I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Are you Sisyphus, and is the router your boulder? Think about it. Every single time your connection drops, you unplug it, you dutifully count to 10, you plug it back in, and you push that digital boulder right back up the hill, knowing full well that it's eventually going to roll right back down again. It's this eternal, completely absurd struggle. But maybe, just maybe, the next time the Wi-Fi goes down at 3 a.m., instead of panicking, you can sit there in the dark, appreciate the sheer absurdity of the whole shebang, and feel just a little bit more philosophically enlightened.